Let's jump on the bus. Woo! Hey, buddy. What brings you to this epic journey?
I like buses.
Oh, that's a good idea. We're about to leave Mobile to go to Birmingham. On the Bernie Sanders campaign bus from Mobile. What?
Slaves to fear. You got a third of them or half of them are more slaves to our prejudices. The preacher does nothing to free them from their prejudices. Then you have another group sitting up there who would really like to do something about racial injustice. But they are afraid of social, political, and economic reprisals. So they end up silent. The preacher never says anything to lift their souls and free them from that fear. It may hurt somebody, I don't know about that. Word of God is a thunder, and when God's word gets the
we have 2 busloads of Auburn students and Auburn residents with us. We have close to 100.
But the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., the legacy of Fannie Lou Hamer, but also the legacy of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, of Dorothy Day, of so many who tried to keep the focus on the least of these, the weak, the vulnerable, the poor, and working classes, those who have been marginalized. That's what the Bernie Sanders campaign is about.
Wall Street, corporate America, the large and wealthy campaign donors, the corporate media, they are so powerful that no president alone, no matter how well-intentioned, can bring about the changes that we need. And that is why we need a political revolution. The only way that we bring about real change is when millions of people begin to get involved and demand that Congress and Washington start representing the interests of ordinary Americans. The truth is that for the last 40 years in this country, the great middle class, once the envy of the world, has been disappearing. Today in Alabama, today in Vermont, you got moms working, you got dads working, you got kids working. You got people doing 2 jobs, you got people doing 3 jobs, just to cobble together some income and some health care. Today in America, the man worker in the middle of the economy is making $700 less in inflation adjusted for dollars than he made 41 years ago. That woman in the middle of the economy making $1,000 less than she made in 2007. We are going to create an economy that works for the middle class, not for the billionaire class. Today, in terms of wealth, who owns what? Top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. Today, you got 20 people in this country who own more wealth than the bottom 50% of the American people. Today, you got one family, the Walton family of Wal-mart. One family owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. Now, I know that in Alabama and all over this country, you hear a lot about welfare, right? People taking advantage of the welfare system. Ain't that terrible? Well, let me tell you who the biggest welfare cheat in America is. It's the Walton family of Wal-mart. Because many of their workers are paid wages so low, they have to get Medicaid, they have to get food stamps, they have to get subsidized housing. In other words, the middle class of this country is providing welfare to the wealthiest family in this country. Doesn't make sense to me. So I've got a message for the Walton family. Get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. And we're going to help the Walton family do that. We're going to help them do that because we have the wild and crazy idea that if you work 40 hours a week in America, you should not be living in poverty. So we are going to tell the Walton family and every employer in America that we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The other thing we're going to do when we talk about fair wages is I hope that every man in this room will stand with the women and fight for pay equity. It seems to me that if anyone in this room does not see the connection between this outrageously high level of youth unemployment and the fact that we have more people in jail than any other country on earth, you would be mistaken. What about having the federal government invest in education and jobs for our kids, not jails and incarceration? What they are saying is that no woman in this arena tonight, no woman in Alabama or Vermont or America should have the right to control her own body. I disagree.
Guys, we just got Bernie Sanders' hand. Oh my God, this is amazing. That's damn shame. 10 out of 10.
I have to say that I agreed with everything he said, which has never happened to me before with a politician, except the last time I saw Bernie. We have our disagreements. He's not everything I would want in a presidential candidate, but I've seen no one in my lifetime who comes as close.